idea to business. How to launch and manage a successful startup.
I always say that our panelists are like superheroes, and every superhero has an origin tale. So real fast before we get into questions, who are you, where are you from, and what are you up to? What's your business? Go.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having us here. I'm Adrian Niculescu. I'm a Romanian entrepreneur living in Dubai. As Gordon, somehow we've met here. I'm an entrepreneur and an investor, and I'm looking all the time at the new technologies, the new trends, the new startups, and I analyze three things all the time: the team, the innovation of the project technical or business model, and the potential of mass adoption. Thank you very much for having us.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maciej Orłowski. I'm the founder of ICP Hub Poland. So I've been involved with crypto and blockchain projects for a couple of years now. First, I've started off in working with one project. Then I started doing the consulting for the companies. I advise Web2 companies how to implement blockchain and tokenomics into their business model to not destroy the existing one. And now I am happy to run the ICP Hub Poland, which is, I would say, we incubate and accelerate projects using the internet computer tech. Thank you.
We can applaud for everyone. Why not?
Hello, everybody. My name is Piotr Piasecki. I represent Revenue Capital. We as a team specialize in Web3 and AI technology, thriving startups, and guiding them from ideation to market entry, specializing in Web3 and specializing our expertise in Web3 and AI technologies.
Vinícius.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Vinícius, Vini. I'm the investment partner for Ikigai Ventures and Sigma.
Right to the point.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Francis. I'm from the States, but I actually live in Barcelona, Spain, the past 8 years. I am the co-founder of bCOACHED Training Solutions. We provide advising and training specifically to post-product market fit startups, focusing on like operations and organizations.
Thank you very much. Fantastic. Now, the reason I'm looking at my phone is I asked each one of the participants to give me 2 questions to feed them for the panel. I'm not checking the price of Bitcoin. By the way, big round of applause for Bitcoin. Woo! Thank you. Okay. So, Adrian, I think your expertise is communications and community building. And of course, we're talking about the process of doing a successful startup. Give us your sort of insight on how to build communities with, what's the best channel? Is it Telegram? What should a startup do when it comes to community building and communications?
What is always hardest is the first step. Always when you start something new, it's the first step. And there is a secret here, and I would like to share it with you, that when you start something new, usually you are failing like crazy. But we as humans, we can improve anything that we are doing. So even if you fail like crazy when you start building a community, if you somehow find a way to get through the shame and distress and continue doing, you will achieve some results. Before building a community for a project, you need to design very well the ideal user persona for that community. I wrote 3 years ago an article for Startup Grind. You can find it on Google. There are 28 questions you can ask to define such a person. Once you know the slang of the people you want to target as the users, the worries they have that keeps them awake at night, the triggers to make them do something, you will have a profile. It can have a name. You can have two profiles, not one. You have to think of where these people are congregating, where they are gathering, and how you can reach them. So ideally, to kickstart a community, you should find a way to go somewhere where these people, ideal for you, are hanging out. And from there, you engage with them, you speak on their own language, right? Because you know the slang, you know everything. And from there, you start growing. And don't forget not to give up. It's very important.
Definitely don't give up. Boss, I'm just going to feed you the questions you gave me, which is great. What are the differentiating factors that you look for when searching for a startup that can be successful?
I think so.
Loud and clear.
I have
Strong
really
voice.
three differentiating factors. What I look for. First one is persistence, the entrepreneurial persistence, because I think the path of the entrepreneurs, even at the beginning, is really hard. So it doesn't matter how much you can give. It's how much how you can take and keep going forward. It was a really quote from Rocky, I think. But this is something which really plays out. So how low can you go for without an outcome? How can you like push yourself and go to the point where everything is against you and you keep going forward? This is one thing, because then if you see that in the entrepreneur, you know, no matter what, if you give him enough resources, enough time, he will get to the point of being successful. So the second thing is support, because we deal with a lot of projects which are at the early stage, so I would say incubation and pre-acceleration. So what we see is this: how much support does the project have? Because at the beginning, you need all support that you need. So whether it's a financial support, whether it's a friends or family bootstrapping your project, when you have how much your friends, how is your network, and how much power is in your network, all the support is being evaluated. And if without the support, you can't go anywhere, because no big things have been done by the people that are being alone. And the third one, I would say the business model.
Now, let me dive on that a little bit. When you're evaluating the support, that sounds very wise, but sounds also a little bit subjective. So what's your methodology for engaging in that part of the diligence or evaluation?
I mean, first thing and foremost is when we get into the project, we can see clearly what are the connections from the inside. So connecting through Telegram, I would say is really one tool of evaluating that, but we can see what kind of support they're requesting. So for example, if we see that they have already set up with the exchanges, they are already set up with market makers, they already set up on the tech side, on the strategy, we can see basically based on the support that they need, what support and what network they have currently.
Fair enough. Piotr, so I think you raised the point, if I read your message correctly, that funding is essential for a startup. And there's different techniques and paths to achieving the right funding. And obviously, without money, you can't get anything done. What's your perspective or wisdom on this area?
We are talking about Web3 startups at the moment, as I understand.
I think any startup needs money, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. You say, what funding sources are most receptive to emerging tech startups? And how can, it's great, I just get to read it. And how can founders tailor their pitches to attract the right investors? First answer, I guess, broadly, which is in this market, where do you go for funding?
Okay. I will say from the point of view of AI accelerator, as I can see, because I am supporting also founders on the early seed stage, they are coming just with the ideation. And the first step, what they have to do, they have to prepare themselves to present globally, to access global money. Having just 25 or 100K from families and friends. And then, if they are establishing the small idea of that what they are going to achieve. They are finding obstacles, for example, VCs. And they are looking for VCs all over the world and are trying to fill out the forms, and nothing responds. No one is responding, or they have responses like 1 for 100 or 1 for 1,000, and the response is, okay, we don't have money at the moment. And this is a time of VCs, of a VC perspective at the moment. This is market feedback that VCs are very selective and keeping money with themselves at the moment.
Well, I think
in the moment, from the perspective of Web3.
Pause for 1 second. I think the issue, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you can comment on this also, is that, but both of you, but I think the issue is that VCs aren't necessarily getting the exits that they want yet, right? So they're not being able to pay back their LPs yet. And so maybe are having an issue raising new funds and doing new funding. Is that a dynamic or not?
I wouldn't say no, but maybe Vinícius, what's your perspective? How do you see? How many applications can you see on your email every month?
That we reject, and so I think just on my LinkedIn, I get probably around 15 to 20 messages of pitching every day.
Yeah.
I cannot go through all of them, of course. So yeah, but going back, what's exactly the question? Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, so I was asking, my understanding is that there's a little bit of a VC winter right now. And my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and my understanding is also that's not that people are not interested in VC, it's that there's a lack of exits and liquidity at the moment from their prior investments. So their LPs are kind of stuck in the funds, and they aren't being able to roll around to get new LPs. So there's a little bit of a dip right now. And that's not necessarily that the projects are bad, it's just that there's almost like a cash flow issue. And I'm wondering, you're on the inside, I'm not so much. What's your perspective on that?
Look, while I do agree with this perspective, yes, somewhat of a winter, especially for smaller and mid-sized firm. I don't think any large firm is having any problem raising money. I also think that some LPs are starting to realize that the VC game is not exactly for them as well. There was a big buzz about, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago of every foundation institution having a 5 to 10% allocation into venture capital. It's a risky game, and I think a lot of them are realizing it's not worth. But I would say this, it also depends on the momentum of the market. For instance, while you see funding getting a bit lower, let's say, in more traditional tech investments, enterprise software, fintech, and so, you have a revamp the same way that happened with crypto in the beginning, but now with AI. I don't think you will ever find difficulty for a VC, a very specialized or large company, raise for an AI fund. So I think that those momentums also play out a bit.
Okay, and then to the question you gave me, which I think was good also, let me ask you, it's almost a cliche that the founding team, that you invest in founders, you don't invest in idea. Everyone says that. It sounds a little cute to me.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit more solid information on what do you look for in terms of a founding team? What's important, what's not? How are you evaluating?
Look, I tend to evaluate, I don't believe much in that founder that doesn't have experience in the industry, unless you're building a completely new industry, like you're building an Uber, you're building an Airbnb, something completely new, you're like really creating a blue ocean, let's say. But if you're building something on existing industry, I believe certain technical or certain knowledge of this industry is very necessary. is very necessary as to usually a lot of successful companies, they are built on the counts of the founder perceiving something that he hates on the industry that he works for. Okay, this is a process that is not working for me. And I get so annoyed, so fed up that I'm trying to build something, I'm going to build something to fix this, and that eventually branch out to a company. So
Are you saying you like that narrative or you don't like that narrative?
I like this narrative way more than I like the narrative of some people say that you have to be an outsider to see things differently from a certain industry. I think you need to be an outsider only if you're actually building a completely new market. Then I agree with you. Like the guys from Airbnb, I don't think they have any experience in hospitality. The guy from Uber, I don't think he had any experience on transportation or whatsoever. But they were building something completely new. If you're building something for a particular industry, I do think that there is a requirement of understanding that industry, understanding the pain points of that industry, and fixing a particular pain point of that.
So let's tease that out a little bit more. Suppose I come up with a revolutionary new approach to an industry. I'm an outsider. But, actually, let me reverse it. Suppose I see a way that an industry can be improved without throwing it out the window. But I'm not from the inside. Can't you patch for that by finding a co-founder from the industry or a technical person from the industry?
You can if you find expertise within for your co-founder. Let's say maybe you found a problem in certain industry and you're a tech founder. Eventually, your co-founder to have a very good match will have to have those contacts to which you're gonna leverage to build actually the product. Because you might have an idea of, okay, this is not working. But how do you validate that this is actually not working and this, what you're building is going to fix what is not working?
Fair enough. Danielle, so you gave me a fantastic question, which is, and I like that you're doing training, it seems to apply. As a startup grows, as it goes from micro to small to medium, whatever, there seems to be certain recurring structural issues that get faced maybe that are not linear, that show up at certain points. Yeah. What are those in your experience, and then how do you address them?
Yeah, absolutely. So for some of the challenges that we see, there's some that are like conscious that people know about. The ones, I'll just talk about the ones that aren't as common. Tech debt is one that happens quite a bit. So when you first start off, you're just building, you're coding, and that starts to catch up with you at some point in time. And it slows down your product development. It causes more bugs, more issues, and the bigger it gets over time, that's something that has to be addressed. So as you start doing code reviews,
and that's the sound of a Lamborghini, yeah?
Please continue.
But yeah, as you start putting in code reviews, putting in processes for whoever's that senior engineer to just check that.
I think that's their version of applause for you.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Danielle, yeah, power through. See, yes. This is like a startup. You face some issue, you keep going. Excuse me, we're talking here, buddy.
Yes, but also then just switching to the founder, just hearing Vinny talk about just even kind of venture building, it just made me think of even more ideas. But there's issues with the founders, the early stage team, and it comes with having centralized decision making that needs to be decentralized, because if you have everything going through one person, it slows down. It also demotivates people. You get knowledge drain after some time. And then the third one...
Actually, you raised a good point.
Yeah.
You kind of got hijacked there. But when you have technical debt, should you be repairing all the time? Or do you kind of build up for a while and then clean the decks?
Not all the time, because you're a startup. You don't have the time to always be doing... There's other things that are prioritized. But as you put in processes and you have your code reviews, you can have someone flagging, okay, we need to go back and do that. So not all the time, but having a structure in place.
I'm going to go over there. Okay, and I stopped you. I think you were going to number 3.
Yeah, number 3, just around as you start to scale, is just specialist versus generalist. So when you first begin, you're hiring people who know how to do some of everything. And at some point, kind of Startup 101, if you're serving everyone, you're serving no one. Your team starts to get to that point where they're doing too much and there's too many priorities to handle. So you have to start hiring specialists at some point.
Which kind of relates to point number one. You can't do everything all the time. Because you're not a startup then, you're just a maintenance organization.
Exactly.
All right, we got 9 minutes left, so we're going to do like a faster round. So Adrian, you raised a really interesting question about, do you raise and then do your MVP, or do you do your MVP first? Do you have an answer, and then can you add why, and then a little bit of nuance on that answer?
I will try to be very fast, but also to bridge with the initial discussion about building a community, because I missed an important step. Once you identify where are your ideal customers, you see which platforms they use to digest information, so you build a community on those platforms. And to bridge with your question, Gordon, also when you start pitching investors, first you need to arrange the docs to the project to become investable, so to speak on the investor's language. And also you need to define a new profile, your ideal investor persona. This is very important. And then, I don't believe just in ideas, because you can have, you have so many tools to build an MVP.
Brother, you got 30 seconds. MVP,
30 seconds.
MVP
yes.
or cash? Raise money or build MVP?
There's a methodology taught by AppSumo to build, like they say, an ugly version of the project. So first you build something, bootstrap, meaning that you use your own resources, and after that you start looking for money.
And would you say that's always true, or?
In most cases. So you have so many free tools to build stuff, at least until a certain stage, that you show lack of creativity if you don't do something before raising.
Yes.
In my personal opinion.
Point taken. The bar for creating an MVP is much lower than it used to be, so you might as well do it.
Definitely. It's very easy to do it.
Fair enough.
Even if you're not a technical person, you find no-code tools to do something, and even to take advance payments from customers or contracts or everything. Be creative. Thank
Fair
you.
enough. Okay, speed round. So you posed an interesting question, which is what's more important, technology or people? I'm not sure I agree with that dichotomy, but what did you mean?
I mean, this is a quick one. People, obviously, like a lot of people say that technology solves a lot of problems. It's not true. It's the people who solve the problems who knows how to use it. So finding the right people, it's always the most crucial thing, because even developers on the tech side, on investors or anyone, like you can do nothing without, technology would be nothing without the people who were using it. So why would you use any like AI for prompting if you don't know how to prompt? So you need to find someone who knows how to prompt, who knows how to automate stuff, build stuff, especially specialized developers. It's much more harder often that finding the right tech, finding the right people, but it often pays off.
Or you can just get the AI to figure out how to prompt the AI.
But you need someone who's gonna prompt the AI, so you need the right people to do
really?
it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm being cute, but not. I mean, isn't there a lot of AI patching going on? Do you really need people like you used to?
I mean, you need less people, but you still need one. You need someone who's gonna like push it forward. At some point, you get to the wall, and without the right people, you won't get through it.
Sure, 100%. Piotr, so you said, I like this question. Given the unique risk factors in Web3 and AI, how should startups approach fundraising? What are the key metrics they should highlight for investors? So let's focus on the key metrics part.
I would say people, technology, KPIs, time frames.
Sorry, let me pause you, but what KPIs?
MVP,
Okay.
and income, positive, or just break even break even. This is something investor in this market, which is grieved, are asking all the time, what are your incomes at the moment? What's the stage of your product? Obviously, they are looking for the people and technology. And then These two questions are the game changers.
So there's a meme on Instagram where someone is talking about their startup generating revenue, and the rest of the team goes, no, 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 we don't want revenue. We want to be pre-revenue. Because if we're pre-revenue, the world is open to us. But the moment of revenue, it's too much reality.
Yeah, revenue at the moment is needed. This is not the case of capitalization only from the investor's point of view. They are not looking for evaluation. They are looking for the exact game, exact business.
Okay, got it. So it's not a multiples game, it's a traction game. I can feed you a question or you can say what's on your mind.
I think like
Let me feed you a question. You have a good question. So in early stage investments, what specific signs make you confident that a startup can cross the chasm from early adopters to mainstream market, especially in crowded sectors?
Look,
what tea leaves do you read?
It's actually a very good follow-up to what he said, and
And you planned this all along. I know you did.
Let's say I half agree. I think like two signs I think that are very necessary. One is people willing to pay for your product. So yeah, revenue. Might not be profitability or so, but people that are willing to pay for your product in the early stages of your product. And the second, people that are willing to refer your project as well. They are, even at the MVP level, they find something interesting that they tell their friends and so on and so forth. That is also a very, very good sign. And the second is the usage of a product throughout a cohort time analysis. Let's say people spend 2 hours using a product every day. Then you know you have something there to present. I don't agree with the pre-revenue thing. I think that's completely over. I also don't agree with you have to be profitable from the get-go. You do have to show that there is a stickiness. You do have to show there is a demand for that. And I think you should be safe to raise money after.
Interesting. Danielle, so you asked a good question, which is, you kind of touched on it last time, but you're implying, I think, in the question you're asking, that there's a part where startups go from generalists to specialists, and there's an issue with A, that being true, B, spotting it, C, executing on it. So maybe you can touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, so that's where, yes. As we're talking about growing your startup, there's a point where you have to switch from, everyone wearing all the hats to people actually going a bit deeper in that. So one way that it's like your customers complaining, and we never want to get to that point. So before that, there comes issues with problem solving, like a glass ceiling for problem solving, and it takes a little longer to actually solve the problems because your team members no longer have the skills, they no longer have the capabilities, and that's one sign that it's time for you to start hiring specialists. Also, when you start seeing your platform is becoming more complex, you're innovating, have this incremental innovation, and now it's time for you to really start thinking who do we need, start planning ahead, and a lot of this is all about strategic thinking, strategic planning, and as founders, we often don't think that far ahead. So it's really important to sometimes stop, think, and actually plan for that.
So you're from training solutions. When do you train your people to solve that problem? When do you hire to solve that problem? And when do you bring in a temporary consultant? All keeping in mind that cash flow and equity is precious.
Yes, so this is why I will say we come in usually post product market fit. So you don't come in too early. This because you're still iterating, trying to find things right, and the time to start is when you are getting your team members are getting a bit too tight, too spread thin. This is a time to start bringing in someone to help you find new ways of working, new ways to operate, and helping you identify the bottlenecks.
Right on the money. Big round of applause for our panel. Very interesting, fast moving. I like it. Well done, everyone.